Good evening. The Planning Commission meeting of August 7 is called to order, 2024. The Planning Commission meeting is being broadcasted live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable Channel 6 on AT&T UVerse Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's website, glendaleca.gov/live, on youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called Cablecast and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting the questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. With that, can we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Tarakian,
Here.
Commissioner Fuentes,
Here.
Commissioner Lee, absent, Commissioner Manassian, absent, and Chair Shabazian.
Here.
Thank
Can we
you.
have the reports regarding posting of the agenda, please?
Sure. The agenda for the August 7th, 2024 regular meeting of the Glendale Planning Commission was posted on August 1st, 2024 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you for that, and approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Oral communication, I don't see any cards. The only cards I see are regarding the items. Does anyone have any oral communication outside items that are on the agenda? Okay, none. Next item on the agenda is board and commission members' comments. Yes.
Madam Chair and Commissioner Krajan, as you may be aware, after our hearing last July 17th regarding the drive-through windows, I kind of had a change of heart regarding my vote. And at this point, I'm respectfully requesting that maybe we should do a revote and the case be heard by full member Planning Commission. But I'm going to defer it to City Attorney's Office, Yvette, to give us an advice, and let's see where we can go from here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Planning Commission members, Chair Shabazian. Certainly, Commissioner Fuentes can ask for the item to be reconsidered and revoted upon. However, it would need to come back. First of all, the majority of the Planning Commission would have to agree to have the item reconsidered. If that is the desire, we would have to renotice it and bring it back at some point, which I believe the earliest would be the next regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting in late August. This item, however, has already been agendized for the City Council meeting of August 13th, which is on Tuesday. And it will be heard by the City Council. Certainly, Commissioner Fuentes' comments can be passed on to the Council, and Commissioner Fuentes can come to the meeting and express her opinion about the recommendation to the Council, the previous recommendation to adopt the ordinance. But at this point, it is too late to take it off the agenda. And the reason it has to go on August 13th is the moratorium on drive-through establishments expires September 26th. And so in order for a ordinance to be in place prior to the expiration of the moratorium, it would have to be adopted, an ordinance would have to be adopted by the council by August 27th, and that's why it's going on August 13th. So that's a little bit of background on that, but certainly we'll defer to whatever the Planning Commission wants to do.
Okay.
And sorry, if I may, it actually would have to be the September 4th meeting. We've missed the noticing deadline for the August 21st.
Got it. Thank you for that. Commissioner Tarakian, do you have any comments?
I mean, realistically or practically speaking, I think it's hard for us to see it again and then for it to get back to council. I think I'm open to the idea of it in general. I just think I would want to understand timing constraint wise, if we would be able to even get it back to council in advance of the 26th. That would be my first, I guess, comment. And my second comment would be, if our preference is there for there to be an entire planning commission here, given that, you know, I don't know where we're at in terms of other appointments and things like that, if we're going to even have a full body here within the next month. So those are just frankly my initial concerns based on what I heard. On premise alone, I don't have a problem with revisiting it, but it's just a matter of, is it going to practically result in more difficulties than anything other than that? So, I mean, I'm happy to discuss it, the three of us, further. I don't have, you know, a concrete
Yeah, well,
conclusion on it.
Yes, please go ahead.
Like I mentioned, I just didn't feel comfortable bringing it forward to City Council when half of the proposal is not acceptable to me. So that's where I'm coming from. I would rather that we be late in taking it to the City Council, but with full understanding of what's going on and where, you know, everything is coming from. I don't think I'll be doing my best job if we go forward or we take it to the City Council with, you know, my hesitation on a yes vote. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I would like to comment if you guys don't have comments. So I heard the legal team, and I actually, to understand what our legal kind of boundaries are, I actually chatted with our legal team yesterday. So we would have to vote on this for it to come back. So we can't
Yes.
vote on it today. And that means it would have to come September 4th. And that means that our moratorium that ends on September 26th, City Council will have to make an action by August 27, 30 days prior to the moratorium ending, for it to kind of not lapse or expire. I kind of agree with Commissioner Chokchian. I think if time concern wasn't an issue and the moratorium didn't lapse, it wouldn't have been an issue. But at this time, and since we've already made a vote and it's ready to go to council next week, usually agendas have already been prepared, approved by city manager's office by this point, I think it might just not serve us. But I would ask, and I think, I'm not sure if this would work, if there could be, and again, I know that agenda items and staff reports are usually prepared by this point. I don't know if there could be a note added to the item. If not, if it's already too late, I highly encourage you to maybe attend a meeting on August 13th, I believe our city council meeting is, to voice your concern. I think that might be the best and easiest way, because that way the moratorium won't lapse and we won't be able to kind of, for about maybe a month or so, we would have a lapse time. But Yvette, sorry, Ms. Nukian, if you would please, I'm not sure if there's time for the staff report to be adjusted at this point.
I believe the agenda is being published in a couple hours, so it is
Okay.
too late
Okay.
to officially include it in the agenda. However, it certainly can be passed on orally to the city council members or through individual communications with them.
And then just, the drive-throughs will be coming back. Again, this was phase one to get something in place for the moratorium before it expired. But we will be bringing phase two back to you. It's not clear exactly when, but, you know, as soon as possible. So we will be revisiting this again. And, you know, maybe at that time, we can open the discussion up again. We also anticipate getting some direction from council for that phase two on the 13th.
Yes.
That will help guide kind of where we take the ordinance.
Thank you for that. With that, Commissioner Fuentes, do you want us to take a roll call on this item for it to come back, or?
Well, I've written something that I wanted to submit to legal, if it could be attached to the report and submitted to City Council.
It cannot officially be attached at this point, but we can certainly pass it on if you want to email them individually, you're free to do that. Or we can certainly share it with them. Staff can share it with them.
Okay, so,
I mean, it can't just be provided like letters are provided to us, or is that what you mean by unofficial? Like it could just be a supplementary attachment in the sense of like how we get letters leading up to our meeting after the staff report's published?
Yes, we can certainly walk it on, as they call it, to the meeting, or we can email it to them in advance, or we can hand it to them, so however method you prefer.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
because I'm not sure if I'm gonna even be here on the 13th. And the last thing I want to do is appear in front of the city council and argue the vote that we did, or, you know, whatever action we took.
Yes. I think it might be easiest to take a vote on if you're bringing the item back. I think that
You
might,
don't need an official vote. You
Yes.
can certainly take one if you would like, but it's not procedurally necessary, as long as the majority agree.
Just take a vote.
I think to have a clear understanding, let's take a vote. The vote would be on if you're bringing the item back to Planning Commission on September 4th, same item. And that would mean the item will still go to City Council on the 13th with a note to City Council that Planning Commission might change their recommendation to you. Is that correct?
Well, no, because at that point, we would probably have to advise, we would have to regroup to see what was going on. We would probably pull the item, and the moratorium would probably expire without an ordinance. So we cannot go forward with an ordinance without a planning commission recommendation.
Okay, I understand. I am ready to do a vote on this. Can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Tarachi?
No.
What's excuse me, what's the exact wording of the item we're voting on?
Whether to revisit the topic is how
If
to
I
revisit the
could,
topic.
Planning Commission members, or Commissioner Fuentes, the official, correct me if I'm wrong, but the official request is that the item before the Planning Commission in July, which was to elicit a recommendation from the Planning Commission whether the council should adopt the ordinance related to drive-through establishments, should come back to Planning Commission, be renoticed, and reconsidered.
Okay,
Commissioner Fuentes?
no,
All right, and Chair Shabazian?
No. Thank you for that.
wait. It should be yes. Here I go again. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay, so 2 no, 1 yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll move to our next item on the agenda. Yes.
Just want to be clear, can I send you my written comment, and then you can go ahead and send it to them, or do you want me to send it directly to City Council?
We can talk after the meeting about that,
Okay.
if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So next item on the agenda, we don't have any old business, and on the new business on the agenda, first item is 3100 Country Drive, Country Club Drive, and that's PSRZVR, that's long, 00332-7-2024. Can we have the presentation for that, please? Thank you.
Sure. Good evening, everyone, commissioners and audience. The proposed project is to upgrade the existing golf course maintenance yard and structure located within the existing Oakmont Country Club located at 3100 Country Club Drive. The site itself, the country club, is approximately 108 acre, located on the northeast of City of Glendale in the Oakmont neighborhood. The site is zoned for SR, which stands for Special Recreation Zone. The site was originally developed in 1924, and it is surrounded by property zone R1R, R1, which are the single-family residential, and also R3050, which is moderate density residential for multifamily zoning, and C3, which is the commercial services zoning. The project site, which is the equipment maintenance yard of the Oakmont Country Club, is located almost in the center of the country club and includes approximately 65,000 square feet of fenced area. And this is an existing aerial view of the site. The existing buildings on the site approximately cover 12,000 square feet of the area. Here are some photos of the existing conditions and buildings on the site. The project will replace, add, and construct 5 buildings for a total of approximately 19,000 square feet, which will include offices, equipment storage building, canopies, and associated structure. The upgrade also will include 23 new parking spaces. If we break down the project, it will be a 364 square foot addition to the existing approximately 5,000 square feet building for the equipment storage, which is labeled as building A here on this slide. It will demolish an existing approximately 3,000 square feet equipment storage building and construct a new one-story 3,600 square foot equipment storage building with an attached 880 square foot canopy. The building is labeled as Building C. The project will demolish an existing 2,300 square foot equipment storage building and construct a new one-story 4,720 square foot office building and equipment storage, and this is Building D. Also, the project will construct a new attached 4,320 square foot canopy for equipment maintenance and a storage area, that is Building D1. Also, the project will construct a new detached 720 square foot wash canopy, which is Building E, and will relocate, construct the landscape coarse material bin area, new recycled landscape, and trash recycling bin areas, which are labeled as areas F, G, and H. The site contains several protected indigenous trees, which are oak trees, and indigenous tree permit must be obtained during plan check. According to the city's arborist visitation from the site, it appears that the proposed construction activities would not significantly impact the collection of oak trees adjacent to the fenced area. The design and layout of the proposed buildings are appropriate to the project site and its context, as the location of the existing buildings and also the location of the existing vehicular access to the maintenance yard will not be changed, and also the new buildings are consistent with the overall design, architectures, and colors of the existing building. The existing building, as you notice, are one-story metal buildings with shallow pitch roof, and the new buildings also are going to follow the same architectural style. And here is the elevations of Building A. And here on this slide, we can see the elevation drawings for Building C. And here on this slide, we have elevation drawings for Building D and D1. Overall, with recommended conditions which are listed on the motion, the project is consistent with the overall intent of the Glendale Municipal Code, Section 30.50.040F. As the overall design is appropriate to the existing site and context, the project is consistent with the elements of general plan, and also the project is consistent with the land use designation and provisions of the special recreation zone. Staff is recommending approval of this project with conditions.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your presentation. Before we move to public comments, which we have one card, commissioners, do you have any questions from staff? Okay, let's open public comments. I have a card from Alex Semchenko. I'm sorry about that. Semchenko. Would you please come up? And you're the architect of the project.
Right.
Thank you for being here.
Very good. Good evening. My name's Alexander Simchenko. I'm with ADS Group Architecture. We were the original architects on the same project that you approved a little over 3 years ago now. It just so happened that we got caught up in the COVID backwash of keeping projects going, both from professional and preparation standpoint, and of course, construction cost. So the club's requesting this time that we push ahead with basically the same project. We've had the time to solicit construction bids, work on construction drawings, so we're much closer than we were 3 years ago. As far as staff's report, it was a good report. I thought it summarized very well what's going on. I don't have much to add to it, unless there's questions that I need to field from you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Yes, please.
Is there a building B on the site?
There's not really a building B, but there is a above-ground fueling station, which is just a tank, that is the B. Just that it's not,
That's right, yeah.
it's just not noticed there in a big print. And that's not changing, as noted in the staff report.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Do we have any callers online for this item?
I can check very quick. No, we do not have any
Okay.
caller.
Thank you. If there are no other questions,
That's it.
thank you, sir.
Great.
Thank you. Commissioners, any discussions? I mean, public comment is closed. Any discussions? Ready for a motion? Motion?
I'll move the item.
And I'll second.
Thank you for that. Can we please have a roll call on that? Thank you.
Commissioner Tarachian,
Yes.
Commissioner Fuentes,
Yes.
and Chair Shabazz.
Yes, thank you. The item moves. Next item on the agenda is item B, 1313 Swordmore Drive, PVPM 1425257, GLN number 1635. Can we please have the presentation for that? Thank you.
Alrighty. Good evening and thank you. This is a vesting parcel map application to subdivide the existing lot located at 1313 Swarthmore Drive into 3 new parcels. The property is a 4.7 acre site and it's located in the R1R zone. That's a single-family hillside zone, floor area District 3. The lot is irregular in shape and located at the terminus of Swarthmore Drive. The general plan land use designation for the site is low-density residential. Just a side note, there are existing easements on site for public utilities and water pipes. There's also an easement for a future street, which is shown in the dashed lines in the image, for an extension of Swarthmore Drive. That easement will be relinquished, and the scope includes creating a cul-de-sac in that area. The site is currently undeveloped. It has a steep topography and features indigenous trees, as well as secondary ridgeline areas. Those ridgeline areas are shown with the green hashes on the image to the right. Those areas will remain undisturbed as part of the project.
I'm sorry, I'm going to actually stop you. I can't see the hatch. Can you point over your mouse? Thank you.
Sorry.
No
It's
worries.
not the best image. It starts around here. Is that helping? And it goes along this portion of the site, and then it terminates around here. And then the rest of that is the SR zoned lot.
Thank you. Sorry, I meant on the image. Can you kind of point it on the picture that you
Oh.
have?
Let me do my best. It would be along this area here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And, yeah, it would be along that area. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sure. An Indigenous tree report was prepared for the project, and it was reviewed by our Public Works urban forestry staff. The site is rather large, and only the indigenous trees located within the proposed development area of the site and its immediate vicinity were evaluated, and that met the urban forester's requirements. There are 8 indigenous trees within or close to the development area, which includes 2 coast live oak and 6 scrub oak trees. 5 of the 8 trees will be removed for development of the lots. The city's urban forester has reviewed the preliminary plans for the project, and they do support the removal of the 5 trees. They will require a 1-to-1 replacement, and they would also require an indigenous tree permit during construction to be acquired, and that would include, tree protection measures and ensure protection of the existing trees to remain. Staff has included both of those comments in the recommended conditions of approval in the attached motion. The applicant is requesting to subdivide the lot into 3 parcels for the purposes of developing a new house on each site. A new cul-de-sac is proposed at the terminus of Swarthmore Drive to provide access to the 3 lots. The new cul-de-sac and right-of-way improvements have been reviewed by Public Works and the Fire Department. Conditions of approval from both departments have been incorporated into the staff recommendation. Parcel A and B will be irregularly shaped and are approximately 26,000 and 79,000 square feet respectively. Parcel C is designed as a flag lot and is approximately 93,000 square feet. Development of the site for new single-family development and the necessary right-of-way improvements does require grading to occur that will alter the existing topography. The new cul-de-sac, which will be required, is going to involve 440 cubic yards of fill and 10 cubic yards of cut. Development of the 3 homes will require significant amounts of grading in the hillside, approximately 6,700 cubic yards of cut and approximately 3,900 cubic yards of fill to accommodate the overall development. The project site's not located within an earthquake fault zone. It is in a mapped landslide hazard-prone area. As it relates to both the grading and the landslide hazard-prone area, a preliminary geotechnical engineering and geology investigation report was included as an attachment. There are several versions and updates that happened over the years since this project was first submitted, and all of those were included for your review. The reports conclude that the site is suitable for the proposed construction and includes recommendations related to grading, foundations, and construction. These recommendations will be required to be incorporated into the construction plans when that time comes, and they will be required to comply with building code requirements for life safety at that time. These renderings illustrate the conceptual design for the houses in the context of the hillside. The applicant has included conceptual plans with the vesting parcel map proposal to demonstrate the possibility to develop each of the new houses, as well as general compliance with zoning code development standards. Having said that, approval of the parcel map does not constitute approval of the design of the houses. We're really here to subdivide the lots. The final design of each of the residences will require approval by the Design Review Board, and they'll review the project for conformance with the Hillside Design Guidelines as well as neighborhood compatibility. Again, the proposed grading is necessary to accommodate development on the site, and the site is zoned for single-family development. The conceptual plans illustrate, based on the site planning for each parcel that's proposed, large portions of the 3 new parcels will be maintained as open space, which includes the existing chaparral located along the eastern portions of the site. As it relates to public comments, I've received 6 comment letters. Copies have been provided to you via email and up at the dais for your consideration. 5 of the letters are from the immediate neighbors, and they express concerns related to the same topics, including timely completion of the development, concerns regarding fire insurance, hillside stability, disruption of just quiet enjoyment in the neighborhood. Again, high liability insurance for the owners, road repairs, mandatory brush clearance, water runoff, and drainage concerns. And then an additional 6th letter was received this afternoon. Sorry, it got mixed in with all my paperwork. The concerns, they're similar in nature. It's from an immediate neighbor. Their concerns have to do with the disruption to the hillside and the habitat, as well as the urban wildlife in that area. They cite other concerns about the project, but don't go into too much detail. And they just generally express, their concern for the proposal and the impacts that it would have. Having said that, staff provide a detailed overview of the project's compliance with the general plan elements. It is in the staff report, and the required findings can be made for this proposal. We are recommending that the Planning Commission approve the vesting parcel map with the 64 conditions in the draft motion that is included with the staff report, and those conditions include comments from all city departments and aren't necessarily just planning related, and they would be conditions that have to be complied with for the parcel map. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. If the commissioners have like general questions for clarification, we can ask the staff. We have few cards from public that I think it would be great to hear, and then probably we can come back to staff. Any questions, commissioners?
Just one quick question for legal. In these letters, one of the requests was there for there to be an insurance requirement. Is that even an enforceable item for Planning Commission to mandate onto an owner? Just out of
No.
curiosity? No?
No, it is not.
Okay,
Commissioner
thank you.
Gunn.
Just wanted to be clear.
Okay.
Thank you. And just to be clear, we are just voting on basically subdivision of this map.
That is correct. This isn't an approval of development of the site. That has to go through a whole other process.
Correct. Okay, thank you. With that, the first card I have, Mr. Martirosyan. Hello?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Haik Martirosyan. I'm the tract engineer. My address is 1545 North Verdugo Road, Glendale. If I may, I want to just quickly go over the project. We've been working on this project for over 10 years now, exactly 10 years. We started 2014. After so many changes that we done on the plans, finally we got to the point that we minimized all the grading that will involve for developing of this lot. This site is 4.7 acre. It's a vacant lot and it's a huge lot with a slope of 59%. If you choose the 59 average slope to get the density of the property, we will have 6 lots. But we choose 3 lots because of the minimizing the amount of the grading and the work that we have to do. These 3 lots the average lots are bigger than all the lots around that 500 radius. The smallest lot that we have is almost 26,000. The largest one is 93,000, which is way bigger than what we have on the neighbor side. We choose not to develop the entire lot, as I said. It's just a small portion of the lot will be developed for the 3 single families. As part of our development, our proposal is just to widen the street because the terminus of the Swarthmore is going to be widened as a cul-de-sac, which will give us access to our lots. Beside that, fire trucks can have access for their turnarounds for that area. So this is kind of positive for that area that we are proposing to do. Beside that, I mean, the houses that is going to put there, it's way below the average floor area ratio of the other houses because of the size of our building. I mean, our lots makes it our houses are smaller with 2% or 3%. So as I read the conditions, we will fully comply with all the conditions. And I don't see any other items that I want to point out at this time, and I will ask for your blessing for approval of these 3 lots.
Thank you. We're going to hear the public comments, and then we're going to ask for you to come back for
Thank you.
questions. Thank you, sir. I have few cards here, and I'm not sure if you have any callers online.
We have one caller. Would you like to take the caller first?
Let's go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Mr. Peller?
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Peller?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me? Mr. Peller? I heard him.
I can hear him as well. Sir,
Mr.
can you hear us?
Hello?
We can hear you. If you can hear us, go ahead.
Speak louder.
Okay, let's pause for a moment. I'll go to the cards while we'll come back to you, sir. Thank you. The first person I have here is Maro Yakubian.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Maro Yakubian. I'm here as a resident of the College Hills Community Association. The developer who just got up to speak, it would have been really great if he had reached out to our association, who's been in College Hills. We've been around for 60 years. So it would have been good for him to come to us to just let us know what's going on so we can educate and inform the community in a proper way. I'm theoretically not opposed to the idea of building in, undeveloped land, and I think there's a lot of benefits that could be had for the community in general. But there are some serious concerns that I have as you possibly give green light to the project of subdivision. I know we're not here to talk about specifics of how things will be built or in what way, but the idea that this is going to set forth a chain of events, which will possibly eventually result in the building of these homes, we must come forward and tell you our concerns. My concern, number one and foremost, is the fire. The history of College Hills is marred with frightening and tragic incidences of fires. And this is a fact that must not be overlooked as you work through this issues of this case. The past 8 years, we've had 4 fires. That's 1 every 2 years. And if Ms. Fuentes, you remember the College Hills fire from 1990, with many homes, approximately 20 homes being burned to the ground. So while a completed construction actually will help abate any fire concerns to a community, that is true, it's the issue of building and the process of building that's going to create a great threat to our community. Yes, and we brought up the point of there's no insurance requirement, nor can the city require it. However, when you have, and as we know our day and age, it's very difficult to get insurance, but what about the building process? So let's say the developer and they start building this house and my goodness gracious, they run out of funds. Well, what you're gonna see is what's happened on Corona Drive in Glendale, which is a tinderbox of a house on stilts in the framing phase, sitting there while ownership is being transferred and confusion and short staffing of the city, where you don't have enough people coming out and inspecting and enforcing the rules. And what's going to end up happening is that the residents are going to be at major risk for a fire. The last few fires that we had were man-made. One happened at College View where a spark from a welding gun set off a massive fire in our area. So the concern of that, I don't know what kind of requirements or 64 conditions that you could be putting with this, but that has to be an issue that must be addressed. I know the fire has their input into it, but ours is a very unique situation as to where we live. The other concerns we have are, will they be having, we have a history of trespassing, we have a history of drug sales that happen at the end of Swarthmore, right where they're planning on building that nice turnaround. Will they be providing security patrol for that area during the time that they're building? So at nighttime when all the workers go home, are we now having the possibility of a massive fire keg with people going up there and messing around? Or are they going to leave it on to the burden of the residents to have to call police every time we see somebody suspicious? So this is the added burden. The last thing I wanted to say is that, one of the things is that the conditions of Swarthmore Drive and the surrounding streets were horrible 15 years ago when Steve Zern was head of the department to do the street repaving. Our street was actually #1 on the list to get done. Budget cuts happened, crisis happened, everything got put under the table. So the state of our street right now is really abysmal. Now add on to that the amount of years it's going to take with the beating of massive trucks coming up our street to do this project. I would love to see conditions maybe imposed on the city, if you can do that, where in agreement with this, that you, to the residents, will repave our streets and put them into habitable order for us. So these are some of the things I'd like to mention. Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Next card I have is Susan Baruslian.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Susan Brusalian. I'm a resident of the College Hills Community Association, and I'm speaking on behalf of community members to express our collective concerns regarding the proposed three-home project. I know we're here for the subdivision, but it will if it is approved, it will ultimately lead to the building of the homes. And while we understand the importance of development, we're not against development of the project and growth within our community. It's crucial to address these several concerns. As Ms. Yakubian just mentioned, we are in a high fire zone on our hill. And we were not aware of this until one of the homeowners received the blue card or the green card. And I personally don't live within 500 feet of this project, but a lot of residents are concerned. There's like Ms. Yakubian said, we've had a fire every 2 years. And I'll just skip forward here. The first fire on my list was on June 18th, 2015, and it was caused by a spark from welding, and it grew up to 2 acres within an hour. And we had 80 firefighters there and helicopters pouring water right in that very location. The next one was November 12th of 2016, sparks flying from construction site there. The next one was July 4th of 2017. We had fireworks set off by visitors. And another one, August 28th of 2017, a homeless encampment. So we've had a lot of fires there. That's a huge concern. Another concern is the insurance. I know it's not a requirement of the city, but we have a lot of insurance issues right now in the state of California, where a lot of companies are moving out of state. So I'm a real estate broker as well, and we have a lot of insurance issues for the homes. We can't get fire insurance. They have to go to Fair Plan for it. So that's another concern. The hillside stability is a major concern. If they're going to be grading this land, it's a very steep property. If you go there personally, I don't know if any of you have gone there personally to visit this site. It's very, very steep. So as far as grading is concerned, how is it going to affect the neighboring homes? There's 2 immediate neighboring homes to this project. One is 1303 Swarthmore, and the other, I believe, is 1160 Avenoak. Those are abutting right against this project. So they're going to be very inconvenienced with noise and dust and a lot of other issues, and will pose significant risks of the hillside. Quiet enjoyment of our properties. Let's see here. The brush clearance. I know the homeowner or the property owner has cleared the brush around his property, but the city needs to take charge of clearing their portion of the brush. I don't know if you could see from the pictures here, but there's a lot of dry brush there. These were just taken yesterday. A lot of dry brush that the city needs to clear. Even though it's not part of this property, it needs to be cleared outside of it to avoid any fire risks. The water runoff, there's a water runoff right above 1160 Avenoak, And I don't know how right there, I don't know how that's going to be taken care of with the development of this project. Is it going to be relocated, or is it going to be built around that? I'm not sure. And I think I've covered most of the concerns. Thank you so much for hearing us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your time. Next, I have Daniel Shop.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this. Same as my predecessor said, you know, this is not necessarily that I'm against the project or the reparceling. And however, I understand that if we do the reparceling, there's probably going to be construction trigger right after, and that's why I'm here. So even though I'm not opposed to it, I obviously bring up some points to consider. But first, I live on 1144 Avenoak, which is 4 houses up from the project site, and I'm speaking for all the residents that are owners on that eastern side of up east, actually, of the project site. So since I live on the same hill, one of the big topics really is, especially in wintertime, the water runoff. Just this year's torrential rains have shown the enormous quantity of water coming down from that hilltop. That's why water control in the form of one large and several small drainage canals, we actually saw it on the map earlier, was built between that hilltop and several of our houses to protect us from water runoff and possible mudslides. The main drainage canal currently ends exactly in the area of the proposed new homes, which is a sandy ravine and shows evidence of previous landslides. Here's some pictures. However, I think there are some pictures in the presentation as well. But what I'd like to draw your attention to is maybe you can see it better here. So if you see it a little closer, this here is an operating control wash, and it goes all the way back about 5 or 6 homes.
And we need
Sorry, we need you to speak into the
They'll
microphone.
you can just hand that, to the staff.
Yeah, okay, I'll do
Thank you.
that. Obviously, you know, we are concerned that this large, you know, control, I guess it's called drainage canal, that actually belongs to LA County, is going to be touched, is going to be altered, and is going to change the protection that, you know, applies to the other homes. So that is definitely, you know, one of the bigger concerns. Again, knowing how much water is coming down there. And the other photo that I wanted to show is actually a photo of the, so that's the canal again, right? So this one would have to be taken out at least partially. And here's why. This is actually the view from the road up into the mountain. So this whole mountainside would have to be taken out completely. And this to me is quite an invasion into the hillside structure and stability. So I'll be happy to pass these on to staff afterwards. The second and last item that I'd like to talk about is, and it was already alluded to, that obviously a lot of construction activity would happen in the hillside itself. Think about, you know, earth moving, drilling, compacting, the whole abating of the vegetation, which destabilizes the hillside overall. The hillside is not made of bedrock. It's actual sand. I was just there last night. We touched, it's sandy ground. So you don't build typically on sand. And this would be on top of construction traffic that would obviously have effect on the adjacent homes, and especially could have pretty bad effects on the foundations of these homes. So on one hand, destabilizing the hillside, on the other hand, adding heavy traffic, you can imagine what that could do to our homes. And for that, you know, I would like to really understand first, you know, what the plans are to really prevent, you know, any adverse effects by changing the canal, and on the other hand, what is in the works or there to protect the existing homeowners from effects of the hillside instability and the traffic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Last card I have is Armen Azizian.
Everyone, 1303 Swarthmore. Actually, we are the adjacent property, right next to it. We're going to be the affected the most. We're not against it for them to develop the site. That site has been vacant for so many years and only attracts bad things. Cops are constantly there. We're calling it. 1160 Avenock is calling it. So definitely we are pro for them to develop. But I have a couple of big concerns about that whole thing. First of all, the cul-de-sac, they're gonna build it. If they are subdividing to 3 parcels, it means it's gonna be 3 houses. The lots are big enough for them to build 3,500 for each 10,000 plus additional 1,000, so those are gonna be 4,000 plus close to 5,000 square feet houses. Now, they're gonna have garages, I understand. But those garages can easily be converted to AD or living spaces at one day. How much parking space do they have at that cul-de-sac? Can this support 3 parcels or it can only support 2 parcels? That's my biggest concern about overall how many parcels they can subdivide it. And if you tell me they have garages, I understand. But if they could convert it to garages, where those cars are gonna park? The biggest concern that I have is the stability of the hillside. We built a swimming pool 3 years ago. We finally finalized our construction. We had a huge issue in that mountain. That mountain, it's not a bedrock. It is alluvial filt, which means it's pretty much, at the time when they were developing this site, what they did, basically pushed the dirt and dump it right there in the corner. We had 2 separate soil report done. One was done with a company in Glendale. It's called Applied Soil Technology, Shant Minas. They estimated our bedrocks at 15 feet down. We drilled 49 feet, no bedrock. So the caissons that our pool is standing right now, if you take the aerial picture and you flip it, you'll see that the excavation is down there. Our swimming pool is standing on a 42 feet caissons because it's no bedrock there. And that entire area where they have a cul-de-sac, it's no bedrock. Because when we hit this problem, our construction cost from 180,000 dropped to 320. Because no bedrock, caissons have to be longer, 15 caissons. Now, the biggest issue I had, in which I was supposed to approach the city, this is before we even find out they're trying to build there something, is the street. I guess the control wash is not enough there, and slowly but surely, street is start sitting down. And I'll show you the pictures. So basically, this is a picture at the time of our construction. I'll pass it to you. You can look at it, it's just the sand. Now, these are the pictures. This is a street, and that's the roof of our property. Now, this is what's going on under that street. The sun is coming down, all the trees, the roots are getting naked. Eventually, I think we're gonna apply to do a retaining wall there or something, because that street is gonna come down, straight down to our property. Average car is anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. Average truck with sand or concrete is gonna be 20,000 to 28,000 pounds. Again, I am for it. They should build something. But all these concerns should be taken in consideration. Because
Thank you. That was the timer, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your
And
comments.
are you gonna have is this gonna be a bonded or no?
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
can hand, if you want us to see the photos, you can hand it to staff and they can give it to us. Thank you so much. With that, I don't have any more cards, but I think we have some callers. We'll try again.
We'll try again for Mr. Peller.
Thank
Hi,
you
Mr. Peller,
for
can
the
you hear
time.
us?
I have a couple of things that the previous caller was talking about, which, again, we're not against construction, especially if they spend this kind of money on it, but we want to make sure it's safe for everybody. The two concerns I have, one is the homes that they're building, these are pretty good-sized homes, and they're providing only two-car garages. Houses with this size, with that caliber of money involved, they're not going to have two cars. They're going to have 4 or 5 cars. And where those cars are going to go? There's no parking in front of their houses. These are basically flag lots going right into where they are. There's no parking whatsoever for anybody coming and visiting them. If they ever have a party, which I'm sure they will, where are all these people going to park? That's a huge problem. My suggestion is somehow to create a wider driveway or some way of having some additional cars be able to park there. What I'm suggesting is to have at least 1 or 2 extra per home, because a 2-car garage is not going to cut it, especially where you already have some homes there that already have cars that park in that before you get to the cul-de-sac area. So that's my first concern. So if somehow you guys could come up with a way, the only thing I can think of is to enlarge the driveway or the road that they're building to the third house, where they can have maybe an additional 3 or 4 cars that could park there and not be a nuisance to everybody on the houses right down the street. Number 2, the city owns the adjacent property, which is not being trimmed, or nothing's going to be done, I would think, because you haven't done anything. So since it butted up against this city property, they have the balconies that are going to be right on the edge of the city property. All we need is one person that smokes in the balcony to throw it down the hill, and it's going to blow up the whole hill. So we need to have some kind of a assurance that the city is going to maintain at least that area adjacent to their property line, that there's not going to be any brush there to catch a fire and get the whole thing going again. As you know, 2 of the other people have brought up all the times that we've had fires there. So it is a very big concern, and I think this goes on the back of the city. What is the city willing to do to make this be a safe project? Because if you continue doing nothing, which has been going on, this is going to be a very big problem. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did we get their name, their full name?
It just says Mr. Peller.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I didn't hear him introduce himself, but
I don't think he could hear us.
Okay.
That's also my concern, but we heard him.
yes, thank you for that. With that, no more calls?
No more calls.
Okay. We are going to ask Mr. Martirosyan to come back up to the podium, please. And it's time for you to
Once
rebuttal,
again,
sir.
Haik Martirosyan, we really appreciate the neighbors' concern, and we would take care of whatever is necessary in our part to make the project safe for everybody. For the fire concern is, as part of the condition by fire department, we are conditioned to have a master fuel modification landscaping plan around all new development, around 100 feet away from each development. So that will take care of the area of the brush that we need to take care of as far as our buildings are. A neighbor brought a good comment regarding the the drainage, which is coming down from the top of the hill. We are not remodeling that drainage canal. It's coming down right to the area that we have our cul-de-sac. It will be collected there, and we're gonna mitigate it with the drainage devices that we have for our property. As part of the low-impact development, we will maintain all the drainage within our site. We're not gonna let anything go on the public side. That's part of the drainage devices as part of the low-impact development. Another issue was the stability of the site. We have a soil and geology engineer who looked at this site. They did a couple of reports on it, and they make sure that everything will be safe by the time they build it. Even if it's gonna be on the piles or instead of deepened foundation, whatever it is part of the plan that we're gonna prepare as part of the building. At this junction, we are just asking for subdividing the property. The houses that we are proposing to put is not that big houses. It goes around 3,100 to 3,500. That's the maximum that we are proposing at this time to put it on those property. The properties are huge. I mean, the neighbor is correct. We could put 5,000, 6,000 square feet house, but right now the plans that we are prepared and provided to the city, it's around, the maximum is 3,500 square feet. And the garages are based on whatever the municipal code allows us to do, that's what we will comply with. If they are asking for 2-car garage, we will give 2 car. If it's 3-car garage, we will provide 3-car garages. That's, I think that will solve most of the problem. As far as the street repair, if something happened during the construction within our property and adjacent to our property, it's conditioned by Public Works that we have to maintain it and we have to repair it. Anything behind that point is out of our hands, and the city is the one who is responsible to do all those repairs. So I cannot accept any condition that city will impose on this development to repair all the city streets. And besides, the city streets were designed and constructed based on what they have found at that time when they built it. If the streets are sinking, must be some kind of problem with the geology of that area. It doesn't happen that some other area of the city has the same problem. That's what my understanding is. I mean, city is responsible to repair the streets if they are falling, not the property owner. That's all I had to say. If you have any other question for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, commissioners. Commissioner Chakchian?
I don't have a question at this point.
Sorry, I'm going to look at my notes really quickly. You were pretty good at answering all of them. I think most of them are actually with staff. My only question is, and this might be premature because this is just subdivision at this point, designs haven't gone for review. Has Public Works reviewed the soil and geography report that you have for the hillside stability?
We have submitted our geology report to the planning, and the planning has already routed to building and safety and the Public Works, same as my hydrology calculation and everything. I'm sure they have looked at it. That's what they did their basis of their condition based on all those findings.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question. Everything else is from staff. If there are no other questions, thank you, sir, of course. With that, public comment period is closed unless we have callers.
No more callers.
All right. And questions from staff?
No, I'm good.
I have a quick question. I'm not sure if we have a clear answer to this, but is there any data from staff that you guys could provide regarding the sinking of the road or geology of the road, and when the last time was that the city has done any analysis on that? I mean, do we have any data supporting, I guess, worsening conditions on the road, and is it of concern to the city at this point in time?
We do not have that data. That would be with the Public Works Department. It didn't come up when in conversations with them. I would have to defer to the Director of Public Works on that. It's not information that we would have associated with this project.
Understood. I mean, I know it's not directly correlated to the project, but just trying to clarify for the record if we know additional information on that. I don't have any further question at this time.
Thank you so much. So just few quick things. The soil and geology report, that's public records, correct?
Yeah, that's actually one of the attachments to the staff report.
So you guys, if you are interested, that's what Mr. Martirosyan was referring to. You'll be able to take a look at that, and I think it'll be a good resource. I know there were some comments regarding design. Since the design hasn't been finalized and we're not here to vote on the design, we won't even know how it's going to be at the end. As Mr. Martirosyan mentioned, depending on the size and what the municipal code has, it's going to be different. I want to ask staff, I know that the city normally has a street resurfacing program, and this might be a public works question. I see you nodding. I'm just curious to know, I know normally, there's some, the Public Works Department goes through, funding isn't a lot. So I saw you shake your head, so we don't know where on the list this would be, or if you have funding for the resurfacing of this.
That is not information that we would
Okay.
have here in
Thank you.
planning, unfortunately.
But Public Works should be able to answer that question.
Correct, and I would, suggest residents reach out to their office for that information if it's available.
Thank you for that. And then I think the water runoff issue was mentioned and talked to. And then I know the city also has a brush clearing program that they do, the fire department does. So there was a concern about a brush fire that the fire department usually does, but if there are concerns, you guys can also contact the fire department. I'm going over this because I want to make sure that we talk about the concerns you guys have. Even though we're not voting on any of the design aspects, it'll just be good to kind of point you guys where you might be able to find this information. And I think on the hillside stability, as I mentioned, Public Works and having the soil and the geology report will be very helpful. I don't have any other questions or comments. If you guys don't have any, do we have a motion?
I'll just add just a few comments. I think Chairperson Shabazian explained it very well and thoroughly. And just for public reference, I think this proposal to subdivide into 3 lots has fairly cumbersome conditions of approval, of which there are 64, including from not only the Community Development Department, but also the Building and Safety Division of that department. And then from Public Works, you have Urban Forestry, Engineering, and then, of course, we have the Fire Department and Glendale Water and Power, along with some miscellaneous conditions that are also instituted. I would encourage the applicant, when it comes to the actual approval and design process of the homes, to consult with the community and to try and get the community in general alignment with what's being proposed, both from a safety standpoint as well as a scope of work standpoint. But in terms of our role here on the commission, I don't see an issue moving to approve subdivision into the 3 lots with these very detailed sets of conditions of approval. So with that, I'm willing to move.
I have a
Yes,
few
please.
comments. I'll second it and then I'll.
First your comments, then
Okay.
motion. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you again for coming here tonight, and I'm very familiar with the Glendale College Hills fire of 1990. A friend of mine was devastated with that. We're considering vesting of the parcel map tonight, and I'm pretty sure that when they're ready to move forward, it's going to go before, they have a long way to go. It's going to go before Design Review Board, where they're going to look at the site planning, property development, all those hillside ordinance things. It's also going to go through the planning and zoning for some other requirements, setbacks, the other clearances, building and safety, fire and engineering. And I trust that our staff will be able to do their, the best that they can to make it safer for everyone. And as far as the parcels are so big that if needed to add more parking space for additional cars, the Design Review Board should be able to talk to them about that. And planting of drought-tolerant and, material or plants that are good for the neighborhood should also be considered by Design Review Board. And like what fellow Commissioner Krajan said, follow the process and make sure you express your concerns at every step of the way. So thank you again for coming in here. And with that, I'm ready to second the motion.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please? Roll call. Thank you.
Commissioner Tarakian,
Yes.
Commissioner Fuentes,
Yes.
and Chair Shabazian.
Yes, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Community Development Department updates.
We do not have any updates at this time, and as of right now, there are no items scheduled for the August 21st Planning Commission hearing, and I did not see anything for September 4th, but we will keep you updated on that as we get closer to the date.
Thank you for that. Adjournment?
I just want to mention.
Yes, please.
I may be away. We're just finalizing our vacation plans, but I may be away at the next
For
Planning
September
Commission
4th?
meeting.
Okay.
That's it.
Can I get a, all right, I see the head nod. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good night,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.